guys. Good morning, good afternoon, depends on where you're actually watching from. So, um, so in this episode, we're going to explain this candlestick, which is called the Doji candlestick. So, this is the Doji candlestick, and that's our topic for today. So, and the Doji candlestick looks like this. So, this is what we call an indecision candlestick. Is all called an indecision candlestick. So, this indecision candlestick stands for this. Simply means that the buyers and the sellers in the market are still negotiating price. Okay, so and when the buyers and the sellers are negotiating price, they have no proper direction. So the market looks like this. This is where you meet a market that is consolidating. Why? Because the buyers and the sellers are still negotiating price. So the price is not taking out the highs and it is not taking out the lows. So what it will constantly do is to range between the highs and the lows. So at this point, the buyers and the sellers are still trying to know where to push the price to, right? So this is how the Doji candlestick looks like. Then when we come into this Doji candlestick, okay, we have varieties of Doji candlestick, which is the Doji family. So, and this Doji family also look like this. We have this Doji family. So this is called a Hamapimba. Then we also have this Doji candlestick. And remember, any side of the trade you are on, be it bearish and bullish, all this Doji candlestick has its bearish and bullish sign. So this is the major candlesticks you will be facing in the market, which are very, very effective. They are very effective. So this is the bearish sign and this is the bullish sign. So you call this the gravestone, then you call this a Hamapimba. So these are the two candlesticks that are very effective. So this is the Hamapimba. The bar is candle there, and this is a gravestone. You call this a gravestone, and you call this a Hamapimba. Then you call this a Doji star. You call this a Doji star. So now, in this price and this price and this price, which is these candlesticks you're seeing right now, they are very effective, and I will tell you where they are most effective in the charts or in the market or whatsoever market you're trading. These candlesticks have their bullish side and their bearish side, right? Let's spin our topic here. They have their bullish side and their bearish side. So let's assume that you are on a higher trend, which is a bullish trend, right? So where you want to be finding this candlestick is at the bottom levels of every trend. Where you want them to be most effective is at the bottom and the top of every trend, and also at our key levels. So where to find this candlestick to be very effective, okay, is on the what? The bottom, okay, and also at the top of every key levels you find, or every key levels. Now, what are these key levels? They are what we call the supply, right? The supply zones. They are what we call the supply zones and the demand zones. Sorry, let me write that zone properly. And the demand zones, right? So then you can also find it at a key level that is called an imbalance. These are places to find these key levels. These are places that this price is very effective. So you find them like in a place like what? An imbalance, IBM. So you often hear people tell you that the market has tapped into my imbalance. So when this price comes back into this imbalance, it will react using what? A doji candlestick or a gravestone. So let's say you're on a bearish trend, right? The kind of price you expect to see on this move is this kind of price. You see it right up from here. These are the places that this kind of price react from. Then if you're on a bullish move, these are the places this kind of price reacts from. It taps into here and rejects very quickly, right? Then one thing you need to know about this doji star is this: because it is an indecision candlestick, you don't take decision yet. You don't know if you're to buy or you're to sell. How will you know if you're to buy or you're to sell? You have to wait for another candlestick to close and completely do what? And completely close. Is either a bullish candlestick, you need to wait for it to completely close. When it's completely closed, it is giving you the direction that the market is going to. It is giving you the actual direction. Then you can use the next candlestick that will open as your entry, because right now this candlestick have shown you the direction the market is going to. But then if you find it to be the opposite way, right, which is a bearish candlestick, you must completely wait for this bearish candlestick to close. Then the next candlestick will be the next candlestick that you're going to enter the market with. So this is the little things you need to know about this doji family, and they are very effective in the market. So let's see an example of this doji candle. So as you can see, this is a doji candle, and you see how effective it is in the market, right? That's a doji candle there. You see how effective it is. Now, after the close of this doji candlestick, we found that this doji candlestick that closed what? This doji candlestick bets a what? A bullish trend. And the bullish trend opened another bullish trend and another bullish trend before we continue moving to our direction. If you look at it here, it opened with what? A bullish trend. So the next candlestick that will open will determine what? The candlestick you have to follow. So let's find another example as well. This is another example of the doji candle. You see how it reacted after the candlestick. A black candlestick, which is a bearish candlestick, opened, then have to give us what? The direction that we're moving to. This is another doji family. This is part of the doji family, and this is a hammer pin bar. You see how it behaved here? So behaving there, the market moved in our opposite direction. This is also what? A doji family. After the close of this candlestick, you see how another one closed. So this one took the direction exactly that we are searching for, which is the bullish direction. And this is a doji family as well. You see how it behaved? This is a doji family, hammer pin bar. So anywhere you find this doji family in a key zone, in a key level, they are very effective. In a key zone and in a key level, they are very effective. You see how they are very effective, right? So you see how effective they are. This is another hammer pin bar. You see how effective they are in the market. This is another hammer pin bar. And they are always reacting from a key levels. A key level simply means a zone, like demand and supply zone, like an imbalance. These are key levels. So hammer pin bar. So anywhere you find them, you see how effective they are. A doji star. You see that doji, right? You see that doji. So this is what a gravestone. You see how effective they are. This is what a doji. So this is how effective all this doji family is. They are very effective to give you a price that will pay you and give you money. And remember, we say that this doji star, okay, this doji star you see here is a consolidation market. It simply means that the high is not taking out, that this price is not taking out the highs and it is not taking out the lows. Now, why do you see it to be this way? It is not taking out the highs and it is not taking out the lows. Simply means that the market is in the phase of what? Indecision. Nobody is making any decisions yet. That is why you see that we have the high here and we have the lows here. According to the way we taught you about the candlestick, you know the highs and the lows, right? And you know the opens and the close. But this market closed exactly the same place it opened. So this is what it looks like, the highs and the lows. The price is not closing above the highs and then the lows. So any candlestick that will open after that becomes what? A break of structure and becomes our direction that we're going to be buying from. Do you understand? So this is what the Doji family does in the market. Thank you, and make sure you rewatch until you understand it and practice it.